Good evening, you beautiful folk out there that have tuned in to watch me, Scotty, and that's Motty, and the immaculate production skills for the 10 seconds we've been recording so far of James Young, who's over there at the back. Hopefully we get involved in the chat when we allow him. Hope you've had a great weekend out there. I know we're going to get into the topics tonight, but I think we should just say a mark of respect for the 22 people who tragically lost their lives today. It's the anniversary of the bomb. I don't know what words you can sort of say, but we should always remember them in our thoughts on the Scotty and Motty channel with their families as they are every single year.
No, you said it right, yeah. Obviously, you know, one of the darkest days in Manchester's history. And something we'll always remember, and you know that lives with us forever. And you know, my thoughts, as always, go out to anyone who's affected by that. Some of the families, just people that were there, or just people that know people, or anyone that you know is feeling upset about it. Yeah, thoughts with you all. And
it's not been a good weekend, has it, at all, with terms of losing people? I mean, Martin Amos. I don't know if you're a Martin Amos fan.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to jump on a bandwagon. I'm not. Right. I respect him, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Martin Amos fan.
Because you've not read his books, or you're just not a fan of his work?
The former.
Right, okay.
Yeah, because I'm useless, basically. I should have read his books, because he's a very talented author, and the more I read about him since he's passed away, the more I realise how good he is. But no, I haven't read any of his books, so I don't want to sit here and pretend.
Well, it's just as well we're not doing a Martin Amos tribute. Have you listened to any Smith songs?
I'm aware of them.
Yeah?
I know there are them. No, the Smiths, yeah, I love the Smiths, and me and you have spoken about the Smiths almost constantly on this podcast since we started.
Yeah,
we've always come back to them. It was you who got me into the Smiths, because my dad was into the Smiths, and I sort of didn't get into them because he was, if that makes any sense. Because when you're a kid, you think, I'm not going to listen to my dad's music, because he was in, like, my dad liked some good music like Queen, Joy Division, the Smiths, and when I was a kid, Happy Mondays and that, I wasn't interested. And then as I got older, I started listening to some of the music that my dad listened to, and I remember when we was in Malio, I think I might have lost it, to be honest with you. I probably owe you it. Your Smiths singles album, that got me into them. I was like, actually, these are all bangers, and then started listening to them a lot more. So yeah, do love the Smiths.
So I can't believe you still haven't got that bootlegged copy of the Smiths singles that I had. I'm surprised that lasted the summer, to be absolutely
It was just on repeat, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was class.
I mean, it was sad news. I woke up on Friday morning, and as you do, you check social media, and I saw the news that the bass player Andy Rourke had passed away, and I didn't know he'd been ill for as long as he had, really. It was only afterwards, when people were sharing more recent photos, that it was evident that something was up. And tragic news. And the thing is, with Andy Rourke in the Smiths, he was such an unassuming character, and I think that's a lot of times with bass players or drummers anyway, that they don't tend to get the forefront. As I mean, when you're up against the powerhouse of Morrissey and Marr, arguably the greatest lyricist and guitar player, you know, it was never that easy. But Andy Rourke's bass line was the anchor for them songs. You know, I put a post out on Instagram. It was the glue that sort of, you know, bridged them together, I think, in many ways. Barbarism begins at home. Like, Morrissey's lyrics are great, Johnny's guitar's brilliant, but that song's made by that bass line, you know.
It doesn't work without him, does it? You need all that. You need all those parts, and the Smiths were some of their parts, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're right. Morrissey's lyrics are something else, and Johnny Marr's just, you know, a genius on the guitar, and there's no disputing that. But when you look at that band and why it worked because of all four of them.
Yeah.
There's other people involved at various stages, but the four mainstays are the reason it worked so well. And one of the reasons I like the Smiths is because they sort of went out while it was still mint. It's, you know, there was went out you wanted more. There was no bit where you had enough of these now. They've sort of dragged it on too much, and it was time for they all sort of retired. They obviously went their separate ways, and they're still, you know, making music now. But I like the fact that they sort of set in that time and set with those albums and those singles and those songs because they were at the peak. It's like a bit like Eric Cantona.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he went out at the top, and there's an element of that to the Smiths. Whenever you're listening to the Smiths or you look at what the Smiths have achieved, it's just like, it's always set in that sort of golden period.
And especially when you look at the output, though, like how old they were as well. And that, James, can you just double check the duration? Am I right? Is that 5 albums in 8 years? I think they did.
Me and James Young will have a race.
But you can find out. Every single album is brilliant. I get into arguments with Scousers all the time
I refuse to believe that you argue
for
with
a number
anyone,
of
let alone
reasons.
Scousers.
And when it's not football related, a lot of them start taking pot shots at my belief that the Smiths are the greatest band of all time, and that includes the Beatles.
Four studio albums.
Was it in how many years was it?
Well, they were formed in 82, and the last album was in, well, Strange Ways to Hear Me Come was 87.
Yeah, so 5 years, so like 4 studio albums in 5 years.
Well, when you look at them when they're released as well, it's 3 years?
Yeah.
Over the course of those 4 albums, which is remarkable.
Insane.
It is. And look at the quality of it. I mean, anyone can release a load of dross. But
Yeah.
me and you could do 10 albums in 2 days if we just release anything. But those albums are elite.
Yeah.
What about Golden Lights? I think that's the only bad Smith song.
Yeah, but it's
That's not
always-
bad, is it? Well,
always with something in it. With
Yeah.
it. Do you know what I mean? He has to find
We're
the
celebrating
one,
them.
the one little Achilles heel.
Fucking Mr.
What
Magoo
about,
in the
what was
corner.
it?
Yeah. Golden Lights.
Golden Lights.
One
Well, that's
song.
just ruined the Smiths for me.
In
That
a ca-
one song they made.
In a
out
canon of 40,
hundreds.
40 plus songs. It's stupid, man.
That song actually split the Smiths up, I think.
No, it didn't.
Why
It
not?
did, no, because it didn't. It just didn't. They didn't wake up and went in the studio and said, "No, I'm not playing Golden Lights." And Morris said, "We are." And Johnny said, "Nah, I'm not having it." And that Golden Lights, that one bad song,
was the straw that broke the camel's
It
back.
certainly wasn't
That
anything
was
to
it.
do with like Johnny Marr's drinking or like Morris's attitude and stuff.
It wasn't any of that.
Yeah,
it
not
was
at all.
that song. That was it. If you were to interview Morrissey, would you ask him about that song?
Yeah.
I think you would, wouldn't you? You're that guy who would ask about the one
it's
song
such
that
a
wasn't
weird,
any good.
It's just such a weird song. I need to know the story behind it.
Google's your friend. What is it about the Smiths that sort of spoke to you then?
The lyrics, for starters, I've never heard any lyrics like that before or since.
No.
It's just, they're not nonsensical, they make sense, but they're different. Like, if you pick a song, you listen to it, who else talks about things like, you know, the way you're talking about love, or the way you're talking about longing? And the first one, I know it's mind-bogglingly obvious, was How Soon Is Now. There's a club you like to go.
I'm the son and hair and nothing in particular.
I always call my lad my son and hair. So yeah, you know, you stand on your own, and you leave on your own, you go home and you cry and you want to die.
Yeah.
Like,
that's Saturday night most weekends.
Yeah,
you know?
like, oh, if a 10-ton truck kills the both of us or whatever. It's like those kind of lyrics, like, you don't get that anywhere else, and it always sort of talks to you, and you can relate to it.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has been through that, being a bit of an outsider, feeling that sort of sense of wanting to belong, that sense of angst or whatever. I think at one stage in our life, we all go through it.
Yeah.
Whether that's when you're 11 or whether you're 51 or whatever. And when you hear those lyrics and you hear the music as well, it's just, you can't help but connect with it. I don't think so.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, I agree with you. I mean, in terms of like literate frontmen, I don't think it's any better than Morrissey. And one thing that for me about the Smiths, and then when we're talking about lyrics, is that he said things that I think young men wanted to say but didn't have the balls to express them out loud. That's for me was always the way the Smiths, because you don't want to come across, because being tender isn't cool. Do you know what I mean? And for him to sort of do that was very brave, I think. And you know, just tunes after tunes after tunes, ridiculous.
You're right, because most bands, most performers and singers, there's almost like a bravado, an ego, a boastfulness to what
it's
you're
like
singing.
A boxer going into the ring a lot of times. When you look at a Liam Gallagher going on to grab his mic, there's like
how wonderful I am and great I am and I don't care and all this. And Morris is the opposite. It's like, I do care. I care too much. What to do about it?
It takes guts to be gentle and kind. I think the man said it best himself, really, didn't
Exactly. Loads of people in the comments, as you would say, as you would expect, sorry, including Adam Patterson. Adam Patterson's in there.
Oh, nice one.
From Stretford Paddock alumni. And he says, Hatful of Hollow is the greatest compilation album of all time.
That was the fifth one, wasn't it?
Santa Notch agrees with him, says, so effing good, Adam. Just wish Wonderful Woman was also on it. We've got, there's talk about the FA Cup we'll get into later on as well. Ali Max says, what's Jay's favourite Smiths album? The Best of the Smiths. Yeah. I love that. I love that from, obviously, Alan Partridge reference. I'd have to say the best of the Beatles. Santa Notch says, I was a teen during the Smiths. He also says, Rourke, Joyce, one hella rhythm section there.
Oh, it's Morris's birthday, actually. Are we wishing Morrissey happy birthday?
Is his birthday today?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
It's Adam and Cola's birthday today as well.
Is it really? Yeah. Cantonese is coming up as well, isn't it?
Is it when's George Best's birthday?
Cause I remember when my eldest was due to be born, and I was hoping she was going to come out early because I knew there's a lot of great birthdays around there. Yeah.
George Best's birthday today as well.
Yeah.
So you got Best.
Oh wait, shit! And it's Scotty and Motty's birthday as well. It's actually shut up.
Right.
It is now. Don't need facts, numbers and stuff. It's our calendar.
Can we change it slightly? Slightly, just so that video went out a day later. There must be a way to get into it on YouTube and fix
Tipex.
it. Tipex, yeah. Tipex
Yeah, so this is our third year.
Third year. Our first ever podcast / video was the 21st of May, together, of doing this obviously. 21st of May 2020. So yeah, it is technically our birthday. If you're in a certain time zone. It's this day.
And if you'd like to buy us anything for our birthday, there's a Patreon link that's coming in right now. £1 a month gets you lots of extra content. There is the £2 exclusive if you've got deep pockets. But we've got articles. We are doing radio shows. We're going to be doing a Smiths radio special after this one with our favourite tracks of the Smiths and little anecdotes about maybe where we heard these songs or stuff. And people are asking the questions, what are our favourite Smith songs? Well, if you really care, you sign up to Patreon and then you'll be able to find out. Anything else on Morrissey or the Smiths or birthdays? I wish you an unhappy birthday. That's what Morrissey would like.
He'd love that one.
I've come to wish you an unhappy birthday.
Yeah, it is weird how many birthdays there are.
No, it's just that's calendars, Jay. People are born on days.
Yeah, but iconic birthdays falling on the
Are you throwing McCullough in with Morrissey?
100%. 100%, bro. Come on. James Young, anything you'd like to add before we move on from this subject?
No, I mean they're a great band, and like Scotty was saying, I think especially the way that Joyce and Rourke were both treated essentially almost like as if they weren't part of the band was almost disgraceful because they were just as important as the other two and didn't really make as much money when they should have done.
Well, they did take him to court and they won the court case, or didn't they, Joyce and Rourke, if I'm right in thinking. And I'm pretty sure that given the outpouring that, and I'm not downplaying what you're saying, James, because I imagine at the time there's a lot of that, a lot of angst between the four of them. But I think Morrissey spoke nicely of Rourke in his tribute, and obviously Johnny Marr was very touching. And friendships go for it, especially in bands and stuff. They go for that sort of. When you look at how tense that must have been like a pressure cooker to be that close to each other to create that amount of content over that short space of time, and you're that young. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. I mean, I know it's not the same, but I can't imagine. I work with three of my pals. We own a channel together, and I can't remember the mate. Stretford Paddock. I'm 40 odd. Acker's in his 30s. Joe's in his late 20s. Howson's in his 30s, late 30s, I think. Or he might just be 40 actually. But there's a maturity that comes with that, and that's not the same as being in a band. That's just working on this stuff we do. Obviously, me and you different because we've known each other for 20 years before we started doing this. But I couldn't imagine doing that in my early 20s.
No.
And that's just running a YouTube channel. That's not the same as being in a band that's world famous. But I get what you mean, because there's times when you don't get on, there's times when there's a bit of friction. And I think with us, there's that maturity where we can deal with it and we can sort of compromise.
Yeah.
To be 21 or something in that situation, I mean,
and your ego's getting brought to a level where you're feeling almost godlike by the press and fans, and then you've got someone like maybe the drummer said something to Morris, like, who are you talking to? Have you seen what the enemy are writing about me? Excuse me. Do you know what I mean? And then you're like, I don't want any of that.
In future, can you put your suggestions on a piece of paper and just leave them by the door?
We brought the post-it notes for a reason, Mike.
Yeah. Just write it down and we'll look at it maybe.
I was going to say as well, what did you make of the thing that Johnny Marr was saying that came out, that the Smiths were going to apparently reunite in 2008?
I don't think that would have happened, to be honest. I'm not too sure. And I'm glad it didn't. Part of me doesn't want the Oasis reunion that I think will definitely happen because I've seen them in the Pomp, and I just think I watched Stone Roses when they reunited and it was shite.
I'm so glad you're on my page.
It was awful. It was great for like a night of nostalgia where everyone put the bucket hats on and but as a performance,
did you go? Was it?
They were terrible. I went to the Etihad one.
Right, I went to the Eden Park one.
The sound was fucking shocking.
I thought that. I just thought this was...
'Cause you'd think at least for the Stone Roses, right, even if Ian Brown wasn't on it, Rennie and Manny and John Squire are talented enough guitarists to carry them still.
Yeah. It was interesting it was nice for everyone who wanted to see the band. I understand it from that point of view, but you all get like, I don't know, a bit cynical. It was because he'd just been divorced, why he got the band back together.
My mate made me laugh. He wanted to get off after Plan B. He was like, he's a big Plan B fan. And he was like halfway through the story, he's like, I might get off, mate. I'm like, what? He's like, Plan B, I was just scared to see Plan B, and he was meant I've had enough of this. I was like, well, they're not that bad.
Someone's asking, lads, what's the difference between Patreon plans? With the £2 Patreon plan, you get extra video. Is that right? Extra video on the radio.
Yes.
Is that right?
I think so, yeah. There's extra content. So for the...
It's like a tier thing.
There's a tier, so...
Obviously, we're great salesmen at this.
The full caboodle is an article roughly once a week.
Yeah, an extra video and the radio.
Extra video and the radio. With the lower tier rate, it's just the radio. Just the radio.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's...
Yeah, I mean, we're splitting hairs over a quid, mate. Right,
no, I get it. Times are hard. But if you do sign up, you'll see. There's quite a lot on there for the patrons. There is. And it's regular as well. It's every week. There's extra content on there.
And it's fucking good. I'll be honest. I listen to it because one reason I'm checking up on James' production skills because he puts it together. But it's I really enjoy them. I honestly was in charge of Radio X or had any power at the BBC. I'd be saying put me, you and him on a channel.
That radio show we do is mint.
It really is.
Honestly. And I'm not just saying that because
should be on Six Music.
What, Six Music at the BBC?
That's BBC.
No, we don't know. Six Music, you absolute Tory. Let's just go on the Beeb. Who does that? Anyway, let's move on.
Yes, if you were under a rock this weekend, the team that's got 115 FA charges against him, Calciprese won the Premier League again. Wow. Pep Guardiola has been revered as being the greatest manager of all time. I don't think he is. And
he's the third best manager to manage in Manchester.
After Ten Hag.
100%. Right, the fourth.
Matt Busby?
Yeah.
Fergie?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ten Hag.
Yeah, and then you can have Pepper's fourth.
Can we talk about that, or is it going to be abused for like being bitter against Man City about where you actually rate Guardiola?
No, I did a video on Paddock today saying that I think there's been a massive amount of just ignorance and disrespect towards Sir Matt Busby in all these conversations about the
and Paisley.
And Paisley, we're going to be brutally honest.
And Clough.
Anyone else? Ancelotti.
Ancelotti's a good one. Ancelotti definitely.
Four Champions League finals. I mean, the obvious thing is that he walked into Barcelona with a team that had Iniesta, Xavi and Messi. Walked into a Bayern Munich team that had won the treble the year before. He walked into a Man City team that had, I'm pretty sure, won the league before.
They'd won 2 out of the last 4.
Out of the last 4. So they were punching, man. They were in the conversation. Alex Ferguson took over a team 11th in the league.
Well, you
look at what he did at Aberdeen.
They were struggling. You're right. The team was struggling. They obviously had won a title in 18 years, I think, when he took over. The training ground, the scouting, everything was goosed, and he had to rebuild the whole club. The point I was making at Stretford Paddock this morning was Busby literally had to rebuild the club.
Yeah.
We were playing at Main Road because Old Trafford had been bombed to bits. He did all that, won 3 league titles, won an FA Cup, took us into the European Cup, when other teams didn't. Remember Chelsea, well, I don't remember, but Chelsea won the title in 1955, didn't enter the European Cup because the FA told them not to. Busby ignored that, did it, lost his team, lost the Busby Babes, and within 10 years won the European Cup. That is unreal.
Yes.
That is just mind-boggling to me. I don't think
it's not getting. You make a really good point, and I don't think that I've myself as a United fan, I've been looking at the modern sort of age more, but you make such a good point that James Young is going to clip that up, and we'll hope it'll go viral on Tinternet. Right, so I mean, Jose Mourinho's another good one. I like what Jose's doing at Roma at the moment. I don't think Pep does that. I don't think Pep does what Jose did at Porto or Inter.
The thing
is, can
right,
I just say with Mourinho, his Inter team was excellent, by the way, and I think that was
excellently managed.
Yeah, well, in the sense that the way that he beat Guardiola to win that treble in the Champions League was brilliant, because that Inter team and the way that he stole Eto'o from Barcelona was excellent. But his Porto team with the biggest bunch of cheats going. Honestly, the way that they got past United because of that Scholes goal that was clearly offside, and then in the semi-final against Deportivo, you what?
Clearly onside.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And then in the semi-final against Deportivo La Coruña, one of Deportivo's players got sent off for the most ridiculous thing ever because he kicked his mate in the most playful way possible and got a red card for it. And they ended up winning the second leg and ended up beating Monaco in the final.
Well, they won the Champions League, and you can't take that away from Jose Mourinho being a better manager than Pep Guardiola. That's enough of that conversation. Patterson's just mentioned there that L'Equipe, is that how you say it? L'Equipe.
Yeah.
How'd you say it, James?
L'Equipe.
L'Equipe.
No, it's le. He's saying le. We're not doing this. We're not doing this shit again. I fucking had it.
Oh, so close.
Talk about clipping stuff up.
James has left the building. So apparently L'Equipe are saying that United are after Neymar. No.
Was it da as well?
Yeah, da. I mean, if you wanted to listen to something hilarious, James on the radio show last week was gold.
What is it George Bush said? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I won't get fooled again.
Yeah. Wasn't that George Michael?
Maybe.
Didn't he say something like in last Christmas?
I thought it was The Who.
They said won't get fooled again.
Yeah.
Once spit and twice is shy. That's the lyric.
Yeah. Because George Bush got the same wrong, didn't he?
I watched in Top of the Pops 1982.
I love the 80s Top of the Pops.
George Michael was a fit young man, wasn't he?
He was. He's a good lad, George Michael.
Yeah, he was.
And I think, in retrospect now, a lot of people look back on him and realise he was chatting a lot of truths when other people weren't.
Yeah.
He was massively against the Iraq war and he took a lot of pelters for it.
Didn't he do the dog? What was his name?
Yeah,
he did a single.
The dog, or whatever it was called, the single. And he got absolutely hammered for it. Also, when it came out that he was bisexual, he was gay, he addressed it. I think Outside was a sort of song about that. If you look at the video.
Was that when he was shagging in parks?
Something like that.
Is that Hampstead? Where is it, James, that he got caught?
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought it was in America.
Isn't there a famous park where people go shagging in London? This might be going off on a tangent.
Hampstead
Heath. Was it a toilet that he got?
Yeah, it was a toilet. I think it was
one of them glory holes.
He said it was a bit of you show me mine, I'll show you yours. And it turned out it was a copper. I'm pretty sure it was in America. So he was a bit unlucky there.
What are the odds on that?
I know. But he was, I won't choose my words carefully here. He was very individual, wasn't he, George Michael, in a lot of things he did.
And we loved him for it.
We loved him for it. And also, he's one of the few sort of rock stars or shoot the dog, thank you, or sort of iconic people or people in the public eye who seems to have a real issue around weed more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because when he stoned on weed a lot of the time when he was crashing his car into shops and stuff like that.
Did you?
Quite rare.
Whilst we bring it back to the Stone Roses, have you seen George Michael's cover version of Ian Brown's Fair?
No.
It's brilliant.
Is it?
Ian Brown can't sing, so it was going to be better than that anyway. Yeah. I mean, I'll find out on Twitter later on.
I'll tell you what's good. Have you heard the Uncle remix of Fear? Which one do you prefer that to the original?
I don't know, mate, to be honest. Was that on the Uncle Remix album?
Yeah. It's like a drum and bass remix of it, basically.
I don't think I've heard that. I'll have a listen. So Neymar.
Nice. The thing is with Neymar, right, and I do this with a lot of signings that we're linked with. I'm sitting here now and I'm like, Neymar, that's the wrong route to go down. We don't need that. What is he, 31? He likes to take holidays all the time. He's injured constantly. He's more or less given up, I think, at times in his career. He's going to be on about 600 grand a week. Is he the type of player we should be buying when we've already done this with the likes of Cavani and Ronaldo?
Yeah.
And Odi Nagalo. I'm not saying Odi Nagalo's on the same level as Neymar. I'm talking about getting players past the best for a bit of a swan song at Manchester United Football Club. But you me know, if it was announced we'd sign Neymar, there's a party that's going to be like, yeah, man.
You think?
A little bit. Because it's Neymar, you're going to be like, yeah, I don't mind seeing Neymar in a United shirt. I'm not going to lie. That's quite exciting. But
could work if you look
in
at
the
sort
cold
of
light day right now. It's not the signing for me.
with the sort of Brazilian contingency we've got at United now with Casemiro and Anthony and stuff. Would not make it work a little bit better?
Possibly.
He comes across as quite a divisive character in the changing rooms. I'm just wondering if you've got
the big
Uncle Cass in the
with Neymar is how motivated is he? Is he coming to Manchester United because he has a real desire to win something in the sort of last few years of his career, to get United back to the top, to have another crack at the Champions League, or is he coming here for a massive payday to take the mick, have as many days off as he can humanly have without being sort of, having his contract torn up, and just have a bit of a jolly? Where's his head at? If this happened, I'm not saying it would, but what is his motivation for coming to Manchester United?
The latter.
Yeah, and like I say, part of me would be like, we've got Neymar. I'd rather, sitting here right now, we didn't sign him. I think there's better routes to go down. And also, even if you got him on a free, his wages are going to be that big. You're probably paying about 40 million for his wages. So that's a signing. Well, you could go out and get the young lad from Atalanta we've been linked with, I think, or someone like that. So, no, but again, I'm fickle where you get a player like that.
I want to see if he can come. I might come back. Diallo.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a great spell at Sunderland. I think it was
considering what we've got at the moment. Why wouldn't not to put him straight in, but I mean, if we look like we'd be getting rid of Alanga, Martial, Weghorst or Horsveg or whatever I was called the other week.
Horsveg. Horsveg. No, I hope Diallo gets a chance. I just worry sometimes that Tanag has almost made his mind up. I don't know if he has, but he might be like...
He couldn't have done any better for himself anyway whilst he's been out alone.
I think he at least deserves a pre-season with United, at least to show what he can do in that team, and hopefully that'll lead to more opportunities, because I think he's a very good player, and I'm like you, he's got everything you'd want from a sort of inverted winger, whatever you want to call it. He score goals from range, run at players, getting behind, never stops as well. He's a tough little lad as well for the size of it. Yeah, he's quite strong.
Scope and play in the Scottish League as well.
He's done his rip, and he went and did bits at Rangers. Obviously gone at Sunderland, done well there. So I'd be all for seeing Amad Diallo get a chance. I just worry that he won't. Unknown CC says Alanga needs to go out on loan or go on loan. I think he actually needs to go.
He just needs to go.
He's not scored a goal since February last year. It's not really happening for him. When he comes on, he doesn't look like he's really at it. And I like Elanga. I think he's a good honest lad, but I just don't think he's anywhere near the levels you're going to get for Manchester United if you're going to be challenging for titles and challenging for Champions Leagues. And that's the next step in this process. And also, you look at some players, you think, well, they're only 19, they're only 20, they're only whatever. I don't see the progression in Elanga. I think his best spell for United was when he first started for us. He seems to have gone backwards.
He was a victim of, like, a popular chant.
And City fans nick that as well.
Well,
I was watching a game the other day and I heard like the Rhythm is a Dancer chant and the Etihad. They probably haven't.
What did you make of City pitch invasion, the third consecutive title? I thought that was a bit embarrassing personally.
Nah, I'm for that. I'm not going to downplay anybody. Anybody going on the pitch to enjoy them. The team won the league. I'm sorry, I disagree with that.
Third one in a row.
Exactly. No, you're just looking for a reason to. There's lots of ways you can have shots at City. I'm not taking it out of anybody for them going on the pitch for them winning.
I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I'm not bothered. It's not like I'm for or against it. I don't really care. I didn't watch the game. I watched a bit of the game and then I turned it over because I thought I don't need to see these lot celebrating another title win. And then I saw all the pictures and I was just a bit like, never in there. Why are you so annoyed by it?
No, I just think like with pitch invasions, they're great, but when they're forced, like they are, it just felt a bit forced. That's all. And when you reach a point like that, it almost ruins it for other people that genuinely want to celebrate them. Like the Sheffield Wednesday one, I get it, right? You've come back from 4-0 down. You're in the playoff final. That is like, I get the emotion of wanting to do that, but when it's obvious and pretty clear that you're going to win the title and you've already won the title anyway, I don't know what that natural emotion is to run on the pitch. It's just feel like it's a foregone conclusion at that point.
Foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
That was the name of David Brent's band, wasn't it? Raf2 says, Jay, on the FA Cup, absolute disgrace that Rooney was banned for the 2011 semi for swearing, and the FA also criticised him for speaking about his religion. Meanwhile, Haaland gets away scot-free. I don't know the religion aspects. I know that the swearing at Upton Park was it as it was then. That annoyed me.
Yeah.
When he swore in the camera and then got a suspension for the FA Cup semi when he was on fire as well. And I think we'd have won that game if we had him in the squad. I was a little bit annoyed with him for swearing in the camera. Actually, I know no one really blamed him, but I thought, why give him an excuse? Don't give him an excuse, man. They're going to come for you for everything. But yeah, I mean, they're not going to ban Haaland, are they? Especially not because they did it to us 12 years ago. They just won't. And I think there's probably a part of him that feels like they want him in that final. They want him to take part in it. It's annoying, but I'm not going to start going, oh, he needs to get a ban. We just need to turn up and do what we can do. And I think we have got a chance in that final. I'm not throwing a towel in.
That's what I was going to ask you, actually. So I think like the 99% of the sporting world and punditry expects United to get beat June 3rd. Is that right?
Yes.
FA Cup. How do you see it playing, and what is it that United need to do to have a chance of winning?
Well, with every single player for United's got to turn up. We have got those players that when they turn up are almost as good. Some of them are as good as anyone in their position. Casemiro, when he turns up, is as good as anyone in midfield. He really is. Marcus is on the left wing as well. There's no one, when he's on fire, there's no one better than him. It's just he doesn't reach that consistency that likes of.
He was before the injury.
Yeah, he was. You're right. So everyone, the likes of, if it's Luke Shaw at left centre back, he's done it already against Haaland at Old Trafford. Rafael Varane, if he's fit, which I think he is, he's been playing recently, he's got to turn up. David De Gea's got to have one of his better games. We can do this, but we can't fax it in. We can't have an off day, because if we have an off day, City won't, and they'll punish us. But I think if we go toe to toe with them, I think we can do that. The only sort of worry I've got is if it gets to the stage where you're having to make changes or one or two players are missing, their squad depth is ridiculous, as ain't.
Yeah.
So if, say for example, Casemiro got a knock, who's coming in? Fred, I know you like the kid, or Scott McTominay. We've got to be honest with you, with ourselves. Sorry, not the same as if they get. I don't know if they're missing. Grealish, Foden comes in. If they're missing, even if they're missing Haaland, Alvarez.
They can go like for like, no matter who they
same Alvarez for Haaland, but they have got, like you say,
yeah, he knows how to score a goal.
5 centre backs that they rotate. It's like I thought Laporte was their best centre back, and then now it's actually he doesn't really play. It's Akanji, and you're like, what is going on there? So they just got options, haven't they? That we
and you make it good that everyone's got to be on their best ever performance, because City's starting 11. They range between a 10 and a 7 at the lowest. Do you know what I mean? Whereas ours have got a wider spectrum of, we can play down to a 4. Performance.
That's starting 11. Under Fergie, everyone's bottom level. It needs to be 6, 7.
Yeah,
everyone's bottom level was like that.
Yeah.
It was 6 and 7s.
Yeah.
If you had a bad game under Fergie, you were dropping a 6 out of 10. You have a bad game under Erik ten Hag or under Ralph Rangnick or under Ole, and it was a 1 or a 2 out of 10. We've seen some absolute shockers.
Yeah.
And we can't my main worry with this game is it's over after 10 minutes.
If it's not, though, the longer we're in the game, I think that we
tend to Anfield aside, where the second half went every
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, but we tend to, if we sort of do all right in the first sort of 30, 40, 50 minutes,
we grow into the game.
Go into the game, apart the one I mentioned. But we can't just let them get a foothold, sweet start scoring goals, because then all of a sudden you stop thinking about winning a game. You just start thinking, damn it, limitation, let's not get turned over. And to lose a cup final against City is one thing. To lose a cup final badly against City when they're en route to a treble would be it'd be too difficult to take it.
I think if United beat them, when's the Champions League final?
Is it the 10th?
I think if United beat them in the FA Cup final, they lose the Champions League final.
You think it's a domino?
I think it'll proper kick them in the ass.
Intro are a much better team as well than people give them credit for. I don't think that's finished either.
I think you make a good point there. I think everyone's sort of acting like Inter just got there by default, and yes, they had the easier side of the route to the final, but they still had to win games against good teams, and they did that. And you don't get to a Champions League final unless you've got something about you.
Oh, unless you cheat like James and St. Paul would do.
Well, there is that, I suppose. We just don't want. What I don't want from Inter is they do what Spurs did, and it's like, oh, we've got to the final.
Oh, it's also part life on the day of the Champions League final. If anyone's fussed, yeah, I'm going to that, actually.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Dead and Gone says Inter has no chance. That's the end of that, then.
Oh, well.
I'm fleeing the country on that weekend after last year's experience of Part Life.
Part Life?
Yeah.
Wow, we won't have any Part Life slander on this show. My friend runs that. Go on.
Right, okay. What's next on the agenda, Mr. Young? You're the producer, you tell us.
Right.
Or do you want me to? Or have you got it there in front of me?
We can do. What do you want to go to next?
You're the producer, tell us.
Yeah, you tell us what you want to do.
Alright, so can we play this video of Sunak?
Go on then, I'm risking this. If we get copyright,
so
it's yet another black mark on your name on this podcast.
So there's a video of Rishi Sunak doing the rounds, and it's wishing a football team best of luck for the season. I don't think you'll be able to hear this, but the people at home will.
Your local MP, Matt Vickers, has been telling me about all the action down at Bishy Road, the exciting semi-final playoff, and how Mikey Roberts brought the nail-biting penalty shootout to an end. I understand you've got some of the best and loudest fans around. Now, Stockton is right behind you, and the town couldn't be prouder. I just wanted to wish you the very best of luck in today's final. Good luck, the Anchors.
So that was Rishi Sunak wishing his local team the best of luck in their playoff semi-final. And I just wanted to get your opinions, essentially, on just how fake he is, because for me, watching that personally, it's just so obvious, and it just almost feels like a robot just to see through him, because he's just so fake, the entire thing.
They all do that though, don't they? A lot of these politicians don't give two hoots about football. They're not football fans. They're not interested in football.
No.
They just realise that the vast majority of voting age people are into football. So you need to tap into that. You can't just be like, football, don't really watch it, not bothered. It's like when David Cameron forgot which team he supported. Apparently he supports Villa and he got mixed up with West Ham because they both wear the same colours. So he was obviously lying. Or when, was it Tony Blair? Wasn't he a Newcastle fan or something? Chelsea. But was like had a fond. I think didn't he have fondness for Newcastle, something like that. It's just nonsense. Like, they're not into football. They're not, but they have to pretend they are. And listen, I can't stand Rishi Sunak. I can't stand the Tories. You know my thoughts on that. And if you don't, you've obviously not been watching. But I'm not really bothered about that. I think someone's giving him a script.
But is there not a wider?
It's just a PR.
Is there not a wider point that he's just got zero emotional connection to anything that he says?
There is that point. The thing that annoyed me with politicians and football was in the Euros, when you had the likes of Priti Patel and Rishi Sunak and all these other numpties posing, celebrating goals and all this, when they were speaking out against England's players taking the knee and saying, oh, it shouldn't be about that and and all this, and laying into him. And then they want to celebrate their victories and join in and try and get some political capital of posting stupid pics of yourselves celebrating a goal that was so fake it was unbelievable. That's what annoys me. It's just the hypocrisy of it. Rishi Sunak, he is a cyborg. He's never had a normal day in his entire privileged life. So when he stands there and talking about Stockton Heath FC or whatever... Stockton Town. Come on. Sorry.
No, I'm not having a go at those saying that.
I don't like...
He's just laughing at the fact that it's like...
It's nonsense.
Just ridiculous.
And if he had anything about him, he would have said, I better not do this. Or watch that when after he'd recorded it and go, that's awful, don't put it out there. It's the fact he's gone, yeah, let's send that out, which is even more baffling, because you'd have thought he'd have had a little bit of, if he's not got football savvy, a little bit of PR savvy to go, that's going to make me look like the absolute clown I am. Don't put it anywhere. And people would have forgiven him for not putting out a video supporting Stockton FC more than the video he has put out showing him a bit of love.
I don't think it's the worst thing he's done.
It's probably not even, it's probably not even, if you listed all the worst things he'd done, that'd probably be right at the back page of that phone book.
Yeah, I mean, it's a publicity stunt, isn't it? And I just don't think, I'm not asked about it. Like I said, I think every politician tries to do it. It's just not unique.
Soccer, love all the soccer, mate. Oh, the love the Reds of Manchester, don't like the Blues.
What did you make of Suella Braverman's tactics trying to get a private speed awareness course? What do you think about that?
She's just the gift that keeps on giving, isn't she, Braverman?
She could lose a job for it, though.
No chance.
Yeah, but I was reading today that some people are on the opinion that it breaks the ministerial code. I mean, she's done that before and lost her job and then got hired again. In fact, she got promoted.
Will she come in next week as foreign secretary?
Yeah,
something like that. They'll sack her on the Tuesday.
It's like she's like some sort of fucking reality TV
She knows
show.
where the bodies are buried.
Where's Suella going next?
She knows.
You know?
It's like the worst reality TV show ever. She's got enough support within that party, hasn't she, to keep getting away with these things, bizarrely. Because I think she's genuinely a terrible, terrible politician. She doesn't connect with the public. She's not particularly good at public speaking or debating or giving speeches. She's awful at that. She doesn't seem to be able to put forward a coherent argument when she is trying to make the case for flights to Rwanda or stopping the migrant boats or whatever it is. There's nothing to like about her. You don't have to like or even respect about her. You don't have to like your politicians, but you kind of have to respect them or believe in what they're doing. And I don't see any of that with her. She's just a failure at everything, who somehow keeps failing upwards, because she seems to be part of this sort of almost right-wing cabal that's within the Tory party. There's other numpty, what's her name, Badenoch, and one or two others who just seem...
It was like Priti Patel with the whole bullying scandal, and the person that did the inquiry resigned.
Yeah, they're all at it. Raab was a bully, and he had to go eventually, and then he does these sort of absolutely cringe interviews where he's like, oh, I was forced out, like, making it out like the civil service. He's full of Trotskyites. Just don't bully people. It's not that hard.
Speaking of bullying...
Go on.
Alleged bullying behaviour, a well-known TV host has left the couch.
Okay, yeah, I like this.
This weekend.
Let's do this.
Mr. Phillip Schofield and Holly Willoughby. Willoughby are no more. I did that live on air, you know.
Willoughby.
Let me just tell you when I did it, though.
Go on.
It was the Queen's funeral.
Love this already. Yeah.
And you're like, all the celebrities are queuing up outside. Where was she get buried?
Westminster Abbey or somewhere.
All right.
No,
don't
get offended. I don't know.
Right. So I've gone live to Westminster Abbey on live radio show and speak to someone. He's like, yeah. We've had loads of celebrities down there, and he's wheeled the name off to me. I've ended the call with him, and then just for the listeners, I've gone back through who he said was there. And I said, yeah, down there to pay the respect to the Queen passing away. We've had David Beckham, Phillip Schofield, Holly Willoughby was there. And then it's just like this 2-second pause that seems to go on for ages, and I'm thinking, my producer's gone away from my desk. None the wiser. Right, listen. And then I just carried on, and I'm like literally like crying in laughter. And I thought I got away with it. And then I was leaving my shift at 6. The lift doors are closing. Sophie from News puts her hand down and was like, let me tell you, that was one of the most funniest things anyone has ever done. You are brilliant. I thought like I'd done it on purpose. Holly Willoughby at the Queen's funeral. Anyway, not talking about Queen, we're talking about Phillip Schofield.
I don't like Phillip Schofield. I've never really liked him. I just think he's a proper horrible little Tory. If you look at the way he's conducted himself over the last few years, a lot of things he's done I don't agree with. Posing for selfies with Boris Johnson, throwing that piece of paper at David Cameron. When I've got this list of Tory paedophiles, it was just a stupid stunt that was never going to do anything in terms of actually prosecuting paedophiles or looking after victims, which is what you should be doing if you're concerned about those things, rather than just some sort of gimmick on your live TV show that actually made David Cameron, of all people, look sensible. Then there's the whole going after Corbyn. Just say sorry. Just say sorry. Just say sorry. Listen, if you have a discussion with Jeremy Corbyn about anti-Semitism, have it. But don't just berate him and tell him to say sorry without even letting him speak just because you're pandering to the crowd. I just don't like the guy at all. And also, when he came out and said, listen, I've been living my life a bit of a lie, I'm gay, right? Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Everyone should be able to do that, no matter what stage of life you want to come out or you realise you're gay, whatever. I've got nothing against that. But he did that, and you think, okay, he's done that. What about his wife? Was she just like, right, okay, yeah, fine. No, it's all bravery. There doesn't seem to be any concern about his missus who he's been married to for years. And, you know, if I went on this podcast and said, I'm coming out now, I'm gay, then I think Varney would want to know about that and have something to say about it, because it's like, well, what about our life together? Where does that leave me? And that was all sort of brushed under the carpet. Now, there's these allegations we don't need to get into because we don't know the facts of it, although they don't look great. But all that aside, I just think you're looking at someone who's a bit of a duplicitous, nasty individual. And no one's really got too many good things to say about him. And also, just on this whole Phillip Schofield thing, that's spinning the wheels to get your gas bills paid.
That was it.
When people were like, that is just horrible. We living in V for Vendetta here. What even is this?
Poverty porn, man.
Poverty porn. Thank you, brother. Porn. And then he's going, oh, I wonder what the internet's got to say about that. I just thought, oh my God, I'm not a violent person, but
no.
Do you know what I mean?
I know.
James Young, you've always got something
Nobody
to say
has said anything nice about him, and that's the thing. Is you usually, when something happens, at least, you know, there's an ally somewhere.
When you're sacked from whatever it is you get sacked for, I will stick up for you.
Again?
Yeah.
Nice one.
You know that, bro.
Cheers, pal.
No, you were right.
Youngie, I'll do a nice bland statement. Here or there. I've worked with James for many years.
I never knew anything about that.
This comes as a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it will be resolved. That will be mine.
What will be the crime that James gets sacked for?
Probably some sort of killing spree goes on. When
killing
he just snaps.
spree? What do you mean?
He just snaps one day, full of Stella.
I don't drink Stella.
Well, that'll be your downfall when you start. Go on, what do you make of this whole Phillip Schofield episode? Because I'm sure you've got an opinion.
It just, You're bang on about the thing during lockdown. I think that's aged terribly. Do you remember at the start of the pandemic where he took a selfie, like you said, and hugged Boris Johnson, where instead of actually holding the Prime Minister to account of, we've got this global pandemic that's just sort of taken off, what are you going to do about it? They basically had him on as like a mate. And I like you were saying about being fair. Look, you can criticise Corbyn whatever you want, but the way that they treated Boris Johnson at the start of a pandemic compared to Jeremy Corbyn was like, how is that fair and balanced at all? I don't...
You see the thing where Boris Johnson won't even tell you how many kids he's got. Let's not normalise that. The Prime Minister of Great Britain and Northern Ireland won't tell you how many children he's got. And he's due to have another one. And Phillip Schofield's going, are you going to change nappies? Oh yeah, are you going to? And Boris Johnson's just like, he's like, oh, you are, aren't you? You know. But what is this drivel? What actually am I watching here? It makes you want to put your foot through the telly. It's like, how is this on national television? You've got the Prime Minister there who won't tell us how many kids he's got, and you're treating him like he's your little uncle.
It's taken me nearly 20 years to work out how to push your buttons. And I never knew it was the Scof button.
You've gone on about City winning a treble.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all right.
I'm not. But Liverpool won the league after God knows how long you weren't that upset about as you are over Phillip Schofield.
Do you know what I hate? Right?
Tell us.
I hate people try and conflate it like, oh well, if you're going after Schofield or whatever, it's because you don't like the fact he came out. It's nothing to do with that. It's not that. Or you don't like the fact that, or you're blaming him for these allegations. We don't know about that. It's the things we do know about. What we've seen him do, the way we've seen him act, queuing or not queuing for the Queen's funeral or whatever it was. That was a minor footnote. I didn't really care about that as much, although it wasn't a good look. But it's all the other stuff. And this whole nonsense about him and Holly, they've had this breakup or they're not mates anymore. Why? Why are they not mates? Why have they fell out? What's gone on there?
Yeah, I mean, with other stuff that's been happening within the Schofield family, this all seems to be moving rather fast.
I'm just on this, right? I'm not accusing anyone of anything. But I tweeted this, and this, to me, and you can get involved in the comments in the chat, and by all means, I just want to mention one. Remind me, I want to mention something about.
If like Jay, you don't like Phillip Schofield, then show us by liking this show. How many likes have we got?
I'll have a look now. 38.
Pathetic.
Let's get some
Mike, come
likes.
on, right? Don't you talk about Phillip Schofield again until we get more likes.
Because the thing happened with his brother, right? Now, I will say one thing about that. You can't control what your family do. I'm not blaming anyone for their brother or their family member doing something horrible. It's not on them unless they've influenced it personally and done something to encourage it or to enable it or whatever. I don't think you can. But this is what came out when Phillip Schofield's brother was found out he was a paedophile. Phillip Schofield said, if any crime had ever been confessed to me by my brother, I would have acted immediately to protect the victim and their family. These are despicable crimes, and I welcome the guilty verdict. So this is when his brother's been found guilty. The TV presenter said his brother told him he and the boy had time together, including watching porn and masturbating. Phillip added, I turned and said, what did you just say? He said it was last year and we were alone together. Tim said it was just this once. I told him it should never happen again. He then started to tell me about the victim's body. I said, fuck, stop. I shouted at Tim that he had to stop. I didn't want to know any of the details, but he made it sound like a one-off. I said, I don't want you to tell me anymore. I said, you've got to stop. Just never do it again. Regardless how that happened, it must never happen again. I don't understand how those two statements are true. If any crime had been confessed to me by my brother, I would have acted immediately to protect the victim and the family. Also, he told me that he'd been doing this with this lad, and I said, you've got to stop. Never do it again.
Never tell me about it again.
Yeah. Is that not two contradictory statements?
Yes.
Listen, right, I love my brother more than anything. I love all my family. If one of them came to me and said that, and I'm not a grass, you're getting grassed up on. You're done.
And punched.
Yeah. Of course, we're both in a cell. Me for violence and you for what you've done. Like, I'm not just going to go, don't do that again. Like, you've just been shoplifting.
Yeah.
And in fact, shoplifting for me is a victim.
Don't you drink driving? It's like drink. If you know, it's like someone's had 4 pints instead of 3 in a drunk drive.
Don't do that.
Don't do that again.
Don't do that again. Well, actually, I've been masturbating with a child. What? Pat that in. Don't be doing that again.
Someone's going to clip this up and it looks like you've been telling me something.
They are, aren't they? I said it out loud. I regret that already. But yeah, I mean, I don't mean to make light of that because it is quite laughable. But obviously, there's a victim involved and it's disgusting and horrible. And I'm glad his brother's gone to prison. But I don't see how Phillip Schofield's saying, well, if he'd told me and I'd done something about it, and he also told me, and I told him, don't do it again. Don't do it again.
There's a bigger picture here, though, isn't there? When
the fuck is that?
When you look at how...
Don't do that again. That's a bit out of order, kid. Don't do it again.
How Phillip Schofield's behaviour or personality has been facilitated and put on a pedestal for this long, though, isn't there? That's the bigger question. Because you've got people like ITV or the producers of This Morning that are allowing people with his behaviour, whether it's the sort of mollycoddling Boris Johnson or the poverty porn Hunger Games wheel that they did. Like, isn't there some sort of questions that need to be asked above?
Isn't there that, though, don't want to get all deep, isn't that maybe a bigger question about society where this guy was popular? Despite all that, we saw all that.
Yeah.
And he was still...
And
it's only recently the ratings have gone down.
So only since his brother's thing...
It's taken his brother getting done for paedophilia for the ratings to take a negative turn. When all those things you were going on about, which I agree with you, by the way, completely, were happening, it was still one of the most popular shows on television. The vast majority of people were still watching.
Which is weird, though, isn't it? When you've got stuff like Scotty and Motty that they could be watching every single week.
Are you a regular This Morning listener or viewer? Because I barely watch it, to be honest.
Me, no.
I only ever see it when I see
When I do a late
clips.
at work, I sometimes stumble across it when I'm channel surfing. And I'll give it a go. If you've got a segment, I'll see what is this all about. And it just annoys me. I just think these people, what are they on about? They're not...
It's not
says
real
nothing
life.
to me
It's
about
not
my life.
Yes. Oh, very well. That was good. Brought it full circle.
I thought you'd like that.
Have we got anything else to talk about today?
James, what other segment?
Can we just, as well, James, on a Sunday...
I've got one.
On a Sunday, sent us a list of things we're going to talk about today, which is unprecedented, isn't it?
We were going to talk about... Well, we should have done it when we were talking about the Smiths getting back together, but Blur have got a new single out. Have you heard it?
No.
No.
Alright, well that's that then, innit?
Well, we covered it.
Yeah.
We always like to talk about an unsung hero.
Yep.
And I want to mention one. If I send you something, Younger, can you stick it on the screen?
Yeah.
I don't want to embarrass this guy, right, because he's a friend and this is him. This is what he's like. This isn't an act.
Yeah.
But I just thought this was just a great example of a nice guy dealing with a troll. It really was. I've just sent you... Are you on Slack? Can you get on Slack there?
Slack, yeah.
Right, it should be with you. If you can put it on the screen, then your apprenticeship to full-blown producer will be complete.
It takes 2 signatures.
Sorry.
Yeah.
50% of it, yeah.
Brian, we spoke on Neymar earlier on, but if you want to rewind after the show's finished.
Yeah, can you get that on so everyone can see it? So, there, look at this. So someone calls Andy Croller, former WBA lightweight world champion even, if I get my words right, was talking about a fight of the weekend. Someone's called him thick, and I had a go, and then he replies like that.
I am no longer a boxer, Mike, however, I'm slightly thick again. I heard commentary praising both fighters. Fair play, apologies, I was out of order, but I'm sick of hearing biased commentary, which I was heard.
Did you see that? Not only does Croller go back to him, self-deprecating, he also says, that dog in your picture is a belter. That's how you deal with trolls. Kill them with kindness.
If only Twitter was like that more often.
I can't do that, mate.
No.
I can't kill people with kindness on Twitter.
How do you kill them on Twitter? Send James Young round.
Send James round to produce a podcast. I'm only joking. You're doing a very good job.
You did a very good job today. We've had a Rishi Sunak video and an image, and the system hasn't broken. Well done. Next, James.
That's it.
That's it. Wow.
Is it.
We've reached the end of yet another Scotty and Motty. We'll be back next week. But thank you, everybody who got involved with the chat.
Let me do another little link.
Patreon.
I'm doing the Patreon link, James. You know, you're getting paid.
I'll do it.
But thank you, everybody. And if you're only catching up after the fact, let us know your favourite Smith song. And happy birthday to Macaulay, Morrissey, George Best. And again, it was our birthday today. Minus 2. Yesterday.
It was today.
Yeah. Happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday, brother.
I've been Scotty. That's been Motty. James in the corner. We'll see you next week.